Hey preschool team, I'm here to tell you about what we're doing for the last weekend of June. I can't believe it's already the last weekend of June. And so we're continuing to talk about the fruit of the Spirit, and we're going to continue into July. So we're spending 2 months on this. And so this weekend we're talking about kindness. And so the story that we're using to talk about kindness is the Good Samaritan, which is a perfect example in the Bible of how we can show kindness. In your small groups are going to be doing a coloring sheet that shows the story of the Good Samaritan. So this is to help them remember and talk about the story of the Good Samaritan, so they can color this, but then to add a extra element so that they can demonstrate kindness, and we can have more of a conversation as to how we can show kindness. You guys are going to help them create a kindness kit, and this will have examples of how they can show kindness to people. So on this kit that they're going to put together is a sticker that says, Jesus gives me the power to be kind, which is what we're really reinforcing this week. So it says kindness kit, sticker for when someone is sad, tissue for when someone is sick, a Band-Aid for when someone is hurt, and then it has the scripture from the story of this week. So it has those three things, a Band-Aid, a sticker, and tissue, and those are just some examples of how they can be kind and something that they could do for someone else to show kindness. So you're just going to help them put these elements in the bag and put the sticker on their bag. If you would like to write their name on the sticker, you can you can write their name on the sticker that's on the front of the bag, or you could just write it on the bag in Sharpie. And if these items are out and all they have to do is add them to the bag, you can talk to them as they put them in. Okay, so what could we use the sticker for to show kindness? Yeah, maybe, and it's a smiley face sticker. If someone's sad, we could give them a sticker. Okay, what could we use the tissue for? They might say if someone's sad. They might say if someone's sick, we could give that to them. What could we use the Band-Aid for to show kindness? We could help someone who's hurt. So this is something they're going to take home with them, but it's just a great way for them to visually see some ways that they can help people and to give them those things to have the opportunity to help people and show kindness. Okay, so that is the craft, those two things. So this is really quick because all they're going to be doing is putting them in the bag. So then they'll have their coloring sheet, and maybe you have the coloring sheets out so they're coloring while maybe you're helping some kids or talking to some kids, and they can color at the same time. So that's the craft. For your activity, I really, really like this activity. It is a book, but we also have a visual for them while you read the book and while you talk to them. So some of you might have heard of this book before. It's called Have You Filled a Bucket Today? So being a bucket filler or a bucket dipper. If you have kids or if you worked with kids, this is a very, very popular phrase or illustration and story for kids to have an understanding of how they can be kind and how they can use kind words and why we don't say things that aren't nice. It's a really good illustration for them as to what that does and what it looks like. So read this story with them. I'll kind of show you a little bit, if you've never heard of it, what this book is all about. So it says, all day long, everyone in the whole wide world walks around carrying an invisible bucket. You can't see it, but it's there. So, and they have a little illustration of a bucket like that. And it talks about all the people. You have a bucket, your grandparents have a bucket, your friends have a bucket, and they carry it around, but you can't see it. Your bucket has one purpose. Its purpose is to hold your good thoughts and good feelings about yourself. So the bucket holds all of the good feelings and the good things. And so that's what goes in your bucket. But this book talks about when people do things that aren't nice or they say things that aren't nice, that takes out of your bucket. So your bucket empties. So our illustration, if you would like to see it, this is your bucket. And when someone helps you up when you fall, that might add to your bucket, fills your bucket. But when someone says something that's not nice, it starts to empty your bucket. Or if someone pushes, it starts to empty your bucket and how you feel about yourself and how you're feeling. So we want to be bucket fillers and fill people's buckets And it's really focusing outwardly, not inwardly, although it illustrates what this looks like inwardly. It's really focusing on how we fill others' buckets and how we don't take out of their buckets. How can we be a bucket filler? That's the purpose of the book. So filling other people's buckets, it's not necessarily, it might help us understand our own feelings, but it's really helping them understand other people's feelings as to when we say things, when our words or our actions, they do affect other people. So this is an illustration as to how they affect other people, because that's a hard concept for a preschooler. So as you're reading, you're using your jar to talk with them about that. So there's parts in the book, once you get a little closer, it says, you fill a bucket when you show love to someone, when you say or do something kind. And then that's when I would add something. So this is an example of bucket filling, when you say or do something kind, and then you can add something to your bucket. That's being a bucket filler. A bucket filler is a loving, caring person who says and does nice things to make others feel special. When you treat others with kindness and respect, you fill their buckets. Okay, but you can also dip into a bucket and take out some good feelings. So then I would remove one so that they can see what that looks like. When you say or do mean things, or even when you ignore someone, that's bucket dipping. So then I would probably, it's hard to hold both at. You need someone maybe to hold this for you and someone else to read the book and take one out. Bullying is a bucket dipping, and then I would take another one out. When you hurt others, you dip into their buckets. You will dip into your own bucket too. I take another one out. Many people who dip have an empty bucket. They may think they can fill their own bucket, but by dipping into someone else's. So maybe you talked about that. Does that fill your bucket to dip into someone else's? Nope. You will never fill your own bucket when you dip into someone else's. But guess what? When you fill someone's bucket, you fill your own bucket too. You feel good when you help others feel good. And so then so just continue as you read to use your jar as a bucket with these pom-poms to represent filling a bucket. You can see our buckets overflowing, which is great. Maybe you guys, when you're done reading the book, you can talk about some examples. Maybe have them come up with some examples of what bucket filling is and what bucket dipping is. So what would be something that would be bucket dipping? And then you could take one out and then ask them what would be something that is bucket filling or filling a bucket, and add one as they give you an example. So that should be really fun, and it gives them a really good illustration as to what that looks like and how we can show kindness. Okay, I'm just going to give you guys a heads up about some things coming up this summer. So this summer we have our Spring Hill Day Camp, and that is for kids who have completed kindergarten. So a lot of our kids are not a part of that, but a lot of our kids who have just finished kindergarten, who we had, will be doing Spring Hill Day Camp. That is in July. It is starting July 8th, so that week. We also are going to have some preschool specific meetups this July, August, September, and October. So one a month, me and Carrie will be planning just a special meetup for families and for preschoolers to kind of have a play date somewhere special, whether it's at the church or whether it's at a sprayscape. And in August, we're going to be going to Rolling Hills Water Park with all the kids and the older kids too. So those are some things to be looking out for. We're going to have info cards for this summer. I think that's all we have for you this weekend. See you guys this weekend. Bye.